who would not take it anymore. A man who stood up against the scum, the dogs, the filth. Here is someone who stood up.
It's time for Citizen Smith.
How are you, everybody? Citizen Smith here in the studio of talkcastPDX.com. Fantastic place. Look at it. Look at it! Fantastic. Oh, I'm so happy to be in beautiful Portland, Oregon. Even when I get chased by homeless people, it's not a bad place to live. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. My introduction to trying to do investigative coverage of the homeless situation almost turned against me. But I'm here to tell you, I'm still alive. I watched a show last night. I'm in my new apartment complex, which is right around the corner from here in Southeast Portland. I discovered the app area of this media center we have at the apartment complex on the TV screen. It took me a while to figure out the touch screen. Finally, I can access Netflix, and they have another app on there that I discovered because I get tired of watching the networks. They only have the basic cable, and it's the same commercials, and it's just agonizing watching commercials. Is it not? I don't want to see commercials anymore. So I went on, and I found there's an app that they had already downloaded called Hum, H-U-M TV. I was like, never seen that before. So I put it on, and they had a section called Hers TV or Her Stories. And they had a documentary on Venus and Serena Williams. And it was filmed in 2014. It was fantastic. This was the most revealing documentary on sports athletes I've ever seen. And I can't believe the access that the father allowed because he's a very controlling man. And it starts from their childhood. They have video of their childhood. Now, I didn't know this, and I'm not sure how many people remember or even know this, but Serena and Venus grew up in a really tough area of Los Angeles, Compton. Did you know that, Justin?
I did not know that.
Yeah, Compton. They had to brush off the broken glass on the tennis courts so that they could practice every day. And the father was obsessed with getting his children trained for tennis. He was looking at them as an investment financially. He saw their physical potential. And they had the video footage of them practicing as, 10, 11 years of age. And he was going around town with a grocery cart to all the little tennis areas in the neighborhood to grab used tennis balls. And he was loading up the cart so that they could practice with the used tennis balls and have enough tennis balls. And he would have these kids practicing all day. And eventually they got to a level where he got them into professional tennis. So Serena's the younger sister of Venus. And they are so tight, which is what they came out in the documentary. But it was Venus at 14 years of age who became, when she played professionally, won her first professional match that she played at 14 years of age. Serena, the father thought, would just be hanging around playing for fun. But in the end, Serena became the more dominant player of the two sisters. But their relationship was revealed in it, and they are a close sister. They are as tight as you can get as sisters. And the father coached them and managed them for most of their career. There was one incident that they showed. It was Serena playing in a Florida tournament, I believe, and it was 2012, if I recall correctly. And they all started booing her because she was there was a real pushback because of these two black tennis up-and-comers. And the white establishment of the tennis world wasn't embracing them, if you remember. And this tournament she was in Florida, when she was ready for the finals, they kept booing her throughout the entire tournament. And when the father was coming down in the stands to sit down, And they documented this. It's right on tape. The guy yells out to him, "Nigger, I'm going to skin you." He stared back at the guy. This is all on the video that they provided. And he stared back at the guy and he's like, "Really? You're going to skin me?" He didn't say anything. And
he said the N-word like that?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
At a tennis tournament.
What year was this?
2012. So
2012. That was going on.
Yeah, so this is why I'm thinking, why are they acting like this in 2012? Because I'm thinking of the Black Lives Matters movement. It wasn't that long ago, 9 years ago, that this crap was going on. And they booed the poor kid till she finally won the tournament, and they booed her when she held the trophy because she was a black player. I forgot what kind of obstacles and racism that the Serena and Venus Williams sisters went through in tennis. Until I watched this documentary, I fully didn't grasp how bad it was. They had some of the competing tennis players, too, saying, "Oh, she makes noise on the... She thinks she's so good." They were saying it because, you know, she was a black player coming up. They wouldn't have said it if it was a white player, believe me. And they had those couple of players when they were first winning, you know, and coming in, how they were getting that, you know, negative reaction from the other players, because the two sisters never coerced with the other players, because the father was very protective, and they were just a tight-knit, you know, they were crossing the color barrier for the most part as stars, not just players. You know, we had another female black player in the tennis world, but she didn't, I forget her name, but they mentioned her in the document, but she hadn't reached the level these two were going to get. But it wasn't that long. And so, you know, sometimes they were showing, you know, in 2014, Serena was now established in Venus, and they'd won championships. And they were showing some of the outbursts they had in the stadiums. And this is when Serena started grunting when she was hitting the thing. And the British press was asking the mother, Mrs. Williams, "Why does your daughter grunt on the court? Does it, you know, they were really going after her for something stupid like that, which today all the players are doing it. I don't like it, but they all do it. It helps, I guess. But the mother was like, you know, walking away after the interview, and they had the audio piping in that, grunting. Why are they talking about grunting, you know? So they had to face a lot of this kind of stuff. These dumb questions that I think purely came after them because of their color, and trying to downplay their talent as black athletes. Very revealing documentary. If you have a chance to watch it, it was on Hum TV, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was so in-depth. The father, you know, he had two families. He had a mistress, and he had a surrogate family of 5 kids while the girls were growing up. That came out in the video, which I was shocked. And the mother divorced him eventually, and she said, "Yeah, I just had enough." And then he had these other kids that he was raising in addition to Serena and Venus, and they didn't really know the other family. It was like the mystery family. I thought that was quite revealing. I had no idea of the social background of the two daughters, what they were going through. But they stay focused, and the father kept them as the coach. And he later married a younger woman, and they showed her with him in some of the tournaments. And the former wife says that divorced him, "Yeah, if I was her, I'd be running in the other direction. But, you know, good luck." And then at one point, he was coaching Venus before a tournament, and a young boy shows up next to him and says, "Hey, Dad." And Venus was like, "I wonder why that boy's calling him Dad." Because it was his son that he had that she didn't know. Anyway, fascinating. I mean, what I learned is these girls overcame a lot of trouble and problems in their lives to get to a championship level of playing tennis, which I greatly appreciate because I loved the game, played it in college. And a fantastic documentary. And I got a greater appreciation for the two Williams sisters. You know, I applaud what they've gone through and done. Outstanding documentary, too, which I give it my best rating. I do a 4-bag of popcorn rating. This one gets a 4-bag rating with butter. It's my highest rating. All right, let's talk a little bit about Portland, shall we? I just was mentioning earlier that I went out and, I've been looking at the homeless problem here in the city, and it's quite, severe. I think it's the worst I've ever seen in any city in America. And I lived in Seattle. They say it's as bad there, too. But Portland's at a whole nother level of there's homeless problems throughout America because of this pandemic and the recession, people out of work, and they've been thrown out of but a lot of it's mental health, right? They end up on the streets because of mental health. I'm no expert, but I've been around them enough, and they've walked by me in the neighborhoods here, and you see the issue. And a couple nights ago, some guy was yelling at 3 a.m, just yelling. Homeless guy outside our apartment complex kept me awake. Finally, he moved on and stopped, but I've been seeing the tents set up as Justin, my producer here, and we went around town, and I saw all the tent sites. There's one guy up the street just on the sidewalk before we get to the office here and studio, and he's got a tent in the corner of the street, and the city's addressing it. I'm new to the city, so I'm just discovering the initiatives that have taken place, like this ballot initiative, which is ballot measure 26-210 to fund homeless services, is now being enacted. They are collecting money from the highest income earners. It applies to people making more than $125,000 per year, a 1% increase in their tax. This is what I'm reading on the K2 Channel 2 ABC news story. And families that make more than $200,000 per year as well. So you have individuals at 125, families at 200,000, and businesses with more than $5 million in gross receipts are being taxed. Hopefully we'll be there at some point here at talkcastPDX. Be glad to pay the tax. But the funds are being dedicated to helping what is the chronically homeless here in the city and the Portland region, Portland Metro. $250 million they're expecting to collect every year. What are they going to... What the hell can you do with 250? You should be able to build the most extraordinary, wonderful homeless.
Well, if you think about how much it costs to care for mental health needs, that's...
They could have like $3 billion in the next 5 years or something.
Yeah.
That should fix the problem, because the thing
But if I make over $125,000 a year, I'm losing money now.
1%.
tax,
Well, what do you want to do? You want. I know, and it's always Portland's already being cited for its high taxes, right? But whatever, you got to help these people somehow, and there's only one way to get the money: taxation. It's already been approved, so there's no sense talking about what if.
We get in this euphoria of no sales tax thing, and then you realize that you are still being taxed to the hilt and all these different things. So,
well, if you're making $200,000 as a family household every year, you can afford it. Thank you, everybody, for the tax. But I want to see how the money's implemented. A, they got to build housing. B, they got to get the mental health specialists in these housing. They should have the offices right in the housing, so they don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, medical's not cheap.
Nonetheless, if they get 250, I was like, in Boston, they have, where I came from, they have a lot of nonprofits. Christian organizations over the decades have built the homeless shelters. In Portland, they're going to have fresh money coming in at $250 million a year. We should see these people in housing, in nice accommodations to get them back to normal with the mental health issues and medical assistance for their addictions. And it should be a state-of-the-art blueprint for the rest of the country if you're getting that kind of money for the homeless.
Yeah.
You told me.
I agree.
You told me I'm politically incorrect by using the term homeless. It's houseless.
Yeah, or disenfranchised. But there's a whole bunch of other politically correct.
Well, I'm sticking with homeless, okay? Because if you own a house, it's your home. Either one works with me. Well, I'll just say people without accommodations.
There you go.
But I didn't realize.
Or amenities.
I didn't realize the initiative was underway. And that this taxation was already, this was last February and March 2020 that they were finalizing the ballot and they approved it. And now it's time. They collected 2020 revenue, I guess. Oh, it says the collection starts in 2021. So this money should accumulate this year and be applied in 2022. Or maybe they're doing it quarterly and they can start the ball rolling. I want to talk to one of the people behind the initiative and see where exactly they're going with this money. Do they have some housing picked out in the area that they're going to use? Because right now the housing is non-existent from what I can see, except for some little homes that they built for the homeless, which is down the road. And I said, Justin, would you please drive me down by this? I saw it briefly, and I'm going to get out of the car if I can and take a look at them in video, because I've never seen these homes. They're just tiny white houses, and I took the initiative to try to videotape them, and this is what I found as Justin drove by, and then I got out of the car. Take a look. This is what Portland has now for housing for the homeless.
All right, here we go.
Today's homeless tour of Portland, Oregon. These are the ones that are on the sides of the street, and you see this around the entire city. But then, this very innovative approach, tiny homeless homes. So the homeless people live in these little homes that they've built, which I'm not sure when they built them. I've narrowed that down, but I've never seen this before. Little tiny homes. I mean, they're really small, like 10 feet by, but it's better than being under a tent.
Yeah, we're gonna look at some more.
So it's in a parking area right above the
This is off Water Avenue.
Water Avenue in Southeast Portland.
Below the Markham Bridge.
Below the Markham Bridge. So I thought this was really unique to see. I've never seen this kind of structural assistance for... I'm gonna get out and just take a look inside real quick.
If you can. I don't think you can go in.
Well, we'll see what happens. All right. See if we can just get a better look at it. So we get over the top here. And you can see how they're lined up. They picked a designated area that's, you know, I just think this is great. It's called Pallet Shelter.com behind this. It's one way to combat the homeless situation, which is really prevalent in the city. Well, we don't need to put the yelling in.
Yeah, you don't want the yelling in there.
I walked a little further down and around the corner of towards the entrance, and I didn't know there were people there. I just thought, you know, I didn't know if they were gathering, but I guess they were, and they saw me videotaping and they started yelling at me. A woman yelled at me, and it's not cool. So I quickly stopped. I mean, as taxpayers, we have a right to see what we're paying for. It's innovative. It's good. We're trying to address the issue as a talk show host, as news people, as to what we need, what we have, and where we're going. So I didn't enter the facility. It's fenced off, as you saw. So I started walking away, and then two guys came running out after me. So I beelined it to the car. They wanted to grab my camera. It's like, what are you doing, man? I just, you know, it was gonna get violent. I felt.
He was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" He was pretty pissed.
I got a right to videotape outside the facility. It's taxpayer dollars that paid for it. I do respect their privacy. I got in the car, we got out of there. I'll be a little safer in the future, though. But still out in the street, getting the images we need to see as we fight the homeless problem in Portland. When I come back, school's reopening.
TalkcastPDX is a digital platform for local talk shows, live video streaming shows, and podcasts originating from Portland, Oregon.
We are committed to a diversity of opinions and quality talk that offers something for everyone. At our brand new state-of-the-art studio, we offer a wide range of services to meet every type of broadcasting need. Yes, we will help you record and edit your podcast or program. We also help you distribute on multiple platforms, and we can also help you transcribe your show for a blog. We offer video services and promotional services, as well as ad revenue packages. Email us today for a special introductory offer. Everything you need to start your own show as soon as possible. We're here to help. Go to talkcastPDX.com, that's talkcastPDX.com, and send us a message today.
It's time for Citizen Smith.
Hey, we're back. Citizen Smith. Local talk show for Portland, but we cover national issues too. But now that I'm in the city, I'll be going more and more towards the Portland issues in Oregon. But Portland's got enough issues to last an entire show every single day of the week. The city's got a lot of challenges. Like all cities in America, it's no exception, but I think we got a few more here than most cities. School reopening. Kids are getting back to class. Elementary first. About time! March 29th, the week of. They're expected to be back in classroom with a hybrid situation where I guess they'll be in and out, some days in, some days out. End of March, they've also got a lot of protocol that they're going to be following. The district will be negotiating with the teachers union over the reopening. Still, they haven't got that done. Come on, let's move, people. We've got kids to educate. Damn. How much negotiation do you need? It's been a whole year. Isn't the negotiation over? The superintendent's got to get in there and finish this already. You know, these negotiations with public schools go on forever. Guadalupe Guerrero, the superintendent of public schools in Portland, trying to get the teachers back in, as ordered by the governor, Kate Brown. Get them in the classroom, she said. Portland's getting there. They're going to have air filters, special HEPA air filters for each classroom, and they're hiring social workers. Why do they need social workers? The kids have had some traumatic...
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. It's HEPA filters.
HEPAs, thank you for that.
And yeah, the kids need a little work, man.
What do they need work for?
When you don't have that social aspect of school, you suffer.
Oh, really? Okay, so the social workers are going to do what?
I don't know, help them cope along, maybe. Everybody's human. Help them cope along.
All right, yeah, okay, Mr. Progressive over here. Okay, the social workers are going to come in and help the kids readjust to being social again. Kids can readjust on their own. They're okay. They adapt. They're children. They're 6 and 7 years old. They'll get back in the classroom and start socializing. But they want social workers, so I guess it's helpful. As a parent, I assume I did a good job getting them ready socially. When I was back in Boston, the kids were out of school, but they were playing together in the streets during their breaks from classroom in the house. They were still getting together. I'm sure these kids in Portland still were getting together, socializing. Anyway, the key here is that they're getting back in the classroom. And it's going to be the end of March, so you get April, May, and then they're out. If I was the school district, I don't know if they have plans for summer school, but I would have the kids part-time in summer school in classroom to make up for the lost time, because they lost a lot of time learning. Is that a possibility? I think I've heard they're considering mandatory summer school. The children need it. I think they'd appreciate it. You can make it fun still, but they've been out for a year. It's make-up time. And then we have the high school kids, too. I think they should be in summer school. They've lost a lot of time. If I'm a parent, how about this? We at least have the option, right? There's going to be summer school classes enhanced more than normal for the children, for the kids in high school all the way down to elementary. If the parents want to get them back in the classroom, we're there. Bring them on in. Teachers make extra money. Kids get extra education, and they make up for any classes, because there's going to be classes they fell behind in. Absolutely. Nobody's going to be perfect coming out of this. I think I'm on the money with this. I'm not a parent, and I have never been a parent, but I would definitely, if I was a parent, be working on my child, making up for the time lost without in-classroom learning. But I would like to, if I can, talk to the superintendent. I've reached out to the school board members. Now that I'm here, we could bring them in studio and talk, or on the phone. Hopefully we can get some people on to talk further, because I'm no expert in education. I'm just analyzing and critiquing what's going on out there. All right, vaccination in Portland. Today it's all about Portland, okay? And Washington, by the way, I just wanted to mention, because what Washington does, Oregon seems to do. Also the Washington School District, or the, where is my story? Okay, here we go. Washington counties are moving to phase 3 of reopening. Okay, it's not, the counties in Washington will move to phase 3 of the state's Healthy Washington Reopening Plan. COVID-19 restrictions along the additional changes will reopening plan during a news conference, but with Governor Jay Inslee spoke about it. The phase 3 indoor spaces like restaurants and movie theaters can have 50% occupancy, which Oregon enacted today as well, this Friday, today, 50% capacity for restaurants. Finally, I said it last show, it happens today. Oregon and Washington, 50% capacity for restaurants, movie theaters, and other gathering areas like that. 25% occupancy for spectators at outdoor events and like Mariner baseball games, 25%. So what about the Portland Trail Blazers? Can they have fans yet? Wouldn't mind going and see a game. Spectator capacity in Washington for high school and youth sports and contact sports and basketball, wrestling, and cheerleading can resume. We've already resumed in Oregon, so we're ahead there than Washington. But today in Portland, I think we should see more people in the restaurants. I was at a restaurant around the corner last night, a Japanese restaurant, a furry, and it was outstanding. But I asked the waiter, I said, will the 50% increase the people in here? And he said, probably won't make a difference. It was pretty spread out. They had about 10, 12 people in there at the most. They're doing a lot of takeout, he said. It saved our business. Sushi, Japanese ramen, that kind of food. And I looked at the restaurant. I thought they could fill a few more seats. But this restaurant's very strict. They took my temperature going in. I was like, the temperature thing's already been proven.
Yeah, that's happened to me a couple times.
The temperature thing has been proven not to work. It's asymptomatic. You can't get a temperature. You might have a temperature 3 days later. It's a waste of time. It already was, the specialist said it doesn't work. It's a waste of time. Like plexiglass, it doesn't work. The droplets can go over. These things have already been proven. I told them, why are you doing that? Oh, and then I had to answer the questions. Have you been sick? If I had been sick, I wouldn't be here. This is like stuff a year ago I was dealing with, and they've pretty much stopped doing it because they know it's not relevant. It doesn't help. Anyway, I was glad to be in a sushi restaurant. First time I had sushi in a year because, I didn't want to risk it. I was like, well, it's raw and people, breathing on it maybe. And I finally said, you know what? I got to go in there and have some sushi. It's like I got to have sushi once a month, and it was so good. I almost cried. It was so good. I hadn't had it for a year, and this sushi was so damn good. I think the best sushi I've had in America.
You could be like, excuse me, waiter, I'd give you a tip, but it's so good. I just want to give you a hug. That's what you want to do.
I did give him a hug, and
give him a hug. I miss giving hugs.
No, I didn't give him a hug. But he was a great waiter, great restaurant. It's a chain. They have he said there's a handful of them in Oregon. A furry, I believe, A-F-U-R-I, and it's a chain from Japan, but it's awesome. And they have the largest Scotch selection of Japanese Scotch whiskeys, well, not Scotch whiskeys, Japanese whiskeys I've ever seen. They've got every one, and they range in price from $12 to $150 a glass. Unbelievable restaurant. Right next door to my apartment. It's dangerous to have a restaurant like that.
High roller, how many glasses did you have? What'd you spend, like $300-400?
Seriously?
You said they're $150 a glass.
I didn't have the $150 glass, Justin.
Yeah.
I had a $12 glass. I took the lowest one, but it was absolutely delicious. Japanese whiskey is the best. And I did spend, with the tip, $120. That's it. Maybe once every 2 months. Maybe I'll get a second job just so I can eat there. And the sushi, they had king salmon. That was so delightful. They had Portland, Oregon albacore, bluefin tuna. I didn't know there was a local tuna caught off the coast of Oregon. Did you? Delicious. And lastly, ikara. Freshly made there, salmon roe. So tasty and delightful. The best I ever had. And all I can tell you is I deserved it. 3,000 miles, 33,172-mile trip to get here. I deserved it. And I finished with a fantastic sake. That's it. I'm done. Thank you for joining me. Citizen Smith, we'll talk on Monday. Have a great weekend. Get some sushi. You deserve it.